Hey guys, Corey here, and today we're going to run over our vegetarian option of the 10-day nutrition meal plan and what we're actually looking at doing with our vegetarian plans. Okay, now there's two things that I need you to do before you watch this video if you haven't already got them, guys. So number one, if you haven't already, go back and watch Nathan's video in the introduction explaining what the 10-day nutrition bootcamp is all about, because some of the tools and some of the habits that we're implementing there, it's going to cross over for everyone, whether you're vegetarian or not. So guys, to save some time and make sure that we're not repeating ourselves, go back and watch Nathan's video, understand the ins and outs of why we're doing this, and have a look at the tools that you can implement from that. And then I'm going to talk about the differences, okay? So that's number one, watch Nate's video. Number two, guys, is make sure that you have your vegetarian shopping list printed off in front of you. So when I'm talking about certain foods and food groups, you're going to understand exactly what's going on and what I mean from that. So guys, now that we've done that, we're going to get straight into it, and we're going to talk about what our view or what we're trying to do here. Now, essentially, guys, we are trying to do the same thing of hit that reboot button. Now, essentially, guys, if you have been eating vegetarian and vegan for an extended period of time, chances are you're going to be in a more insulin sensitive position than most people anyway, because you're going to have a heavily plant-based diet anyways if you're on that single ingredient food. So what we're going to try and do here is we're still trying to minimize an insulinogenic response, but obviously by taking out meats and things like that, guys, it's going to be really hard to get protein in without having any carbohydrates whatsoever. So what we're going to roll with for this 10 days, guys, is if you have a look at your nutrition, your shopping list, sorry, we're going to run through that protein. So anytime I talk about protein, we're talking about those lists there. So some of them, guys, you'd normally see them and think of fats, or you'd think of carbs, so things like your quinoa and all of that sort of fun stuff. Now we're going to start to view these things as protein. So when I talk about proteins, I'm talking about those things that are on the list there. Now when we're talking about our carbohydrates, we're talking about the carbohydrates that say, you know, they're going to be introduced after the 10 days. So these are things like our sweet potato, our white potato, and our rices. Okay, so we're going to start to view food slightly differently than, you know, their traditional sort of macronutrient breakdown. The other thing that we're going to do in this first 10 days, guys, is we're going to eliminate fruits as well. So we're going to take out fruits and we're going to take out those carbohydrates. So we're really going to minimize the effect on the insulinogenic response and you know, give that pancreas a little bit of a break, that beta cell a bit of a break from secreting so much insulin, so we can go back and essentially do what Nate was talking about in that first video when it comes to resetting insulin. So that's the first thing that we're going to do, guys, is start to view some food groups differently. Now, when it comes to a vegetarian diet, guys, there's a few things that you need to really keep in mind, okay? To hit our protein goal, it is going to be a fairly high calorie intake, okay, because a lot of our food is going to be nutrient dense but calorie low. So it's going to seem like we're eating a whole heap of food to try and get these nutrients in and to hit that protein goal. So if you feel like you're eating a heap of food, guys, chances are that, you know, you're going to be needing this to hit the goals that we are setting for you. So don't stress out if you think that you're overeating. If you're on a proper vegetarian or vegan diet, guys, it is really hard to actually overeat because we're eating from those right food sources. So if we're sticking to those single ingredient foods from our shopping list, you know, we're going to be in a really good scenario here to get some really good results if we can hit that protein goal, because it's going to be very, very healthy. What we need to start to steer clear of, guys, is reaching for those chocolate bars and reaching for those muesli bars and those multi-ingredient foods that often sneak in because we need to replenish, you know, quite quickly because we're unable to get the calorie index up as high from, you know, eliminating those meat and animal products. So, guys, what we're trying to do here is obviously get the calories in, making sure that we're hitting the nutrients that we need, and still trying to stick to as many of those rules as we can. So I guess the biggest one, guys, besides having a look at those food groups slightly different, is our breakfast. Now we always normally go a high protein and fat breakfast, or, you know, preferably a meat and nut breakfast. Obviously we can't do that at this time because we're not taking those animal products. Now, if you are a vegetarian and you're going to eat eggs and things like that, look, that's going to be brilliant at breakfast if we can hit those eggs. If not, guys, we want to try and steer away from those fruit smoothies and something that's really going to spike that insulin level. We want to pick from these from our protein sources on that meal list, on our shopping list, and stick to those and start to make all of our meals from that. We still want to hit protein in every single meal and make sure it's balanced out. A big thing that we're going to have to do, not only in this first 10 days, guys, but on moving forward to get the best results, is we're going to start to have to look at some supplements as well. Now, when we're looking at the supplements, obviously it's going to help us bump up that protein goal, which is our number one thing that we're trying to do here. And it's going to help us balance out a lot of those other little things that we might be lacking. So when we're looking at our protein, guys, you want to start to look at things like pea-based protein or hemp-based protein. Obviously, it's not going to be a derivative of whey. So, you know, it's going to stick with that vegetarian lifestyle. We can start to add that supplement in to boost up that, that protein goal. The second one, guys, is our branched chain amino acids. So these are like the building blocks of protein. We do have a really cool video on BCAAs, which you'll probably see shortly. So keep an eye out for that. But our BCAAs, guys, what it's going to do is make sure that our body is always anabolic, okay? Which means we're going to be using proteins to replenish, rebuild, and restore, okay? And that's exactly what we want to be doing, especially on a vegetarian diet, because some of those protein sources are going to be a little bit limited. So if we can get our branched chain amino acids, we're going to get a different array of actually building blocks, and it's going to allow us to, you know, really start to use other energy sources like our fats and like our glycogen that are stored, rather than tapping into stored protein, which we're going to have minimal stores of anyway, guys. So, you know, get onto those BCAAs. Now, the next things we're going to start to have to look at are things like our iron and our zinc and magnesiums. All right, so these are really good supplements to help balance out those micronutrients, but it's also going to be really good at helping with our testosterone production and, you know, minimizing our estrogen and helping us build muscle a lot quicker, okay, which is obviously going to be a massive goal, whether we're vegetarian or not. So these are going to be some brilliant supplements to make sure that we're topping up those stores and getting the most out of our body. Vitamin D is going to be another really good one here, guys, to help with that. And it's often lacking in vegetarian diet. So if you can supplement with a high quality vitamin D supplement as well, it's going to be good. Obviously, the next thing is going to be our omega-3s. Okay, now one of the highest things for omega-3s, guys, are going to be our fatty fish. And if we're not eating fish, it's going to be hard to be getting the balance of those omega fats in. So if you're comfortable with it, guys, look at supplementing with fish oil tablets. I know that some people are comfortable, some people aren't comfortable, depending on where you're sitting up with the type of vegetarian that you are. So if that's unattainable, guys, if you're not comfortable with that, look for flaxseed oil. Okay, it's going to be really good with the omegas as well. The main difference is, guys, the fish oils are going to be basically a long strand, where your flaxseed oils are going to be a shorter strand. So they are slightly different. The longer strand is going to be a little bit more effective and have a little bit more benefits, but the flaxseed is just as strong. All right, and then the next thing, guys, and this is the final thing, and I touched on it before, is making sure we're getting enough food in. It is very easy to undereat if we're not hitting that protein goal. So make sure you plan ahead. Make sure you know what your protein goal is. Make sure you know how you're going to hit it, and stick to it, guys. Nut out this protein goal, work those calories up to where they should be, and make sure that we're not under-eating, because if we're under-eating, guys, we're going to find it really hard to train. We're going to find it really hard to recover, and then we're not going to build the muscle mass that we're going to need to basically get the body transformation that you guys have come to the Gorilla Pit for. Now, if you do have any questions on this, guys, make sure you ask your coach, but otherwise stick to this, stick to your meal plan, and you should be sweet, guys. Thanks for your time.